If you have ever grown cucumbers, this has probably happened to you. You check the vine on a Monday morning. Everything looks small. You decide to wait a few days. You come back on Saturday, push aside a leaf, and there it is. A yellow, bloated, baseball bat-sized cucumber hiding underneath, with seeds the size of your thumbnail. And here's the part nobody tells you. The moment that cucumber turned yellow, your entire plant got a signal. Mission accomplished. The vine actually slowed down. Some plants stopped setting new fruit completely. One overlooked cucumber, sitting on the vine for an extra few days, can shut down your whole season's harvest. I want to talk to you about this today because the difference between a backyard grower who pulls 10 pounds of cucumbers off a vine across the season and one who pulls 25 pounds off the same vine is almost never about better soil, fancier seeds, or expensive equipment. It is about when they pick, how often they pick, and what they do with the plant in between. I am going to walk you through the actual data behind cucumber harvesting. The 2-day rule that most experienced growers swear by, the exact sizes to target for slicing versus pickling varieties, the morning harvest trick that improves your fruit quality dramatically, and the most common mistakes that quietly cost backyard growers half their potential yield every single season. None of this is theory. All of it comes from real production data and university extension research. Let's get into it. Quick heads up before we start. If you watch my videos on the most profitable backyard crops or any of the small farm content on this channel, this is the kind of practical pro tip that turns a decent grower into a great one. If you have not subscribed yet, hit that button right now and turn on the bell. We publish content like this every week. Let's keep going. Before we get into the practical rules, you need to understand why cucumber plants behave the way they do. Because once you understand the biology, the rules make perfect sense. Cucumber plants exist to reproduce. That is the entire point of the plant from a biological standpoint. Every cucumber is just a vehicle to produce mature seeds that drop into the soil, germinate next season, and continue the species. The plant does not care about feeding you. It cares about completing its reproductive cycle. Here's what that means in practice. The plant is constantly reading its own fruit. When it senses immature cucumbers on the vine, it interprets that as unfinished work. It keeps flowering. It keeps setting new fruit. It keeps pushing energy into the next generation of cucumbers. The vine stays in active production mode. But the moment the plant senses a mature, seeded cucumber, the kind with that yellow color and the hard seeds inside, it gets a completely different signal. The plant interprets that mature fruit as mission accomplished. The reproductive cycle is complete. It starts redirecting energy away from new fruit production and towards seed maturation in the cucumber that already made it. In peak summer heat, when vines are at their most productive, one overlooked yellow cucumber can cost you several days of lost yield before the vine recovers. And in worst-case scenarios, especially with heat stress, the vine never fully recovers. Production drops permanently. You finish the season with half the cucumbers you should have had, and you have no idea why. Iowa State Extension recommends harvesting every 2 to 3 days. South Dakota State University Extension goes further and recommends every 2 to 3 days. South Dakota State University Extension goes further and recommends every 2 days during peak production. The science behind those recommendations is exactly what we just walked through. Frequent harvesting keeps the plant in active fruit-setting mode. Skip the harvest and you slow the plant down. Skip multiple harvests and you risk shutting it down entirely. This is why frequent harvesting is the single most important variable in cucumber yield. Not soil, not fertilizer, not variety choice. Harvest frequency. It is biology, and the biology does not care about your weekend schedule. Here is the practical rule that ties everything together. During peak summer production, typically July through August across most growing zones, you check and harvest your cucumbers every 2 days. Not every 3, not every weekend. Every 2, and the numbers back this up. Plants harvested every 2 days reliably outperform those harvested once a week, often by a significant margin. We are not talking about marginal improvement. Greenhouse cucumber data from research trials shows that well-managed harvest schedules produce 20 to 25 pounds of fruit per plant over a 12-week harvesting period. Plants on poor harvest schedules produce 10 to 12 pounds across the same window. That is roughly double the yield from the same plant in the same soil with the same water and fertilizer, just because of harvest timing. Now, I want to be honest with you. The 2-day rule is not always convenient. Some weeks you are out of town. Some weeks the weather is hot and you do not want to go outside. Some weeks you simply forget. Life happens. Here is the workaround that experienced growers use. If you cannot do every 2 days, do every 3. 3 days is the absolute upper limit during peak production. Beyond that, you are gambling with your harvest. Better yet, find a neighbor, a family member, or a friend who can do the harvest when you cannot. Trade them cucumbers for the effort. Most people will gladly pick a few cucumbers in exchange for the bag they take home. The vine does not care who picks it. It cares that the picking happens on time. And here is the pro tip almost nobody mentions. Skip days do compound. A single skip from 2 days to 4 days is recoverable. Multiple skipped harvests in a row, especially in heat, often are not. If you know you are going to be away during peak production, harvest aggressively before you leave. Pick everything that is close to ready, even slightly undersize. Reset the vine. It will keep producing while you are gone, and you will not return to a vine that has shut down entirely. Here is the part most growers get wrong. They wait too long to pick because they want bigger cucumbers, thinking bigger means better. The opposite is true. Bigger means older. Older means closer to that mature seeded state that shuts down your vine. The right cucumber to harvest is almost always smaller than your instinct says. Let me walk you through the right sizes by variety. Slicing cucumbers, the long green ones you eat fresh in salads, are best harvested at 6 to 8 inches in length, with a diameter of about 1.5 inches to 2 inches. The skin should still be deep dark green. The fruit should be firm but not rock hard. If you see any color shift toward yellow at the blossom end, even a slight lightening, harvest immediately. That is the early warning sign. Pickling cucumbers, the shorter blocky ones used for canning, are best at 4 inches in length. If they grow to the 5 to 6 inch range, you can still use them fresh for slicing, but only if the seeds have not started to harden. To check seed hardness, take one off the vine and cut it in half lengthwise. If the seeds are still small, soft and slightly white, you are good. If they are getting yellow or hard, the cucumber is past its peak. European or English type cucumbers, the long thin seedless ones often sold individually wrapped in grocery stores, are best at 12 to 14 inches in length. These varieties are typically grown in greenhouses or controlled environments and tolerate longer growth windows because they are parthenocarpic, meaning they set fruit without pollination. Burpless and small specialty varieties including Persian, Lebanese and mini cucumbers are best harvested when they are quite small. As small as 1 to 2 inches in diameter depending on the variety. Smaller is sweeter, smaller is crunchier, and smaller keeps the plant producing longer. Here's the pro tip experienced growers know that beginners do not. When in doubt, pick small. A small cucumber is always edible. An oversized cucumber is often bitter, tough, and useful only for compost. The cost of picking too early is zero. The cost of picking too late is the cucumber, plus potentially your seasonal yield. The risk-reward of small picking favors you every single time. The way you take the cucumber off the vine matters almost as much as when you pick it. And this is the part where almost every backyard grower makes the same mistake on day one and keeps making it for years. Most people grab the cucumber and pull. They twist it. They yank it. The fruit comes off, but it brings with it a small piece of vine, or it leaves a torn stem that bleeds sap, or it disturbs the network of small roots that develop where the vine touches the ground. All of those things stress the plant. Stressed plants produce less fruit. And worse, those torn entry points become highways for fungal and bacterial diseases. The right way is simple. Always cut. Never pull. Use sharp pruners, garden scissors, or even a small pair of kitchen shears. Cut the stem about 1/4 inch above the fruit. Leave that small stub of stem attached to the cucumber. It looks like a small green nub at the top. That stub of stem matters for 2 reasons. First, it slows post-harvest moisture loss, which extends the storage window of your cucumber by several days. Second, the clean cut on the vine seals over quickly and reduces the risk of disease entry. Both you and the plant benefit from the same simple choice. And here is the additional detail that experienced growers know. Disinfect your pruners between plants if you have any sign of disease in your patch. A quick wipe with rubbing alcohol or a dip in a 10% bleach solution prevents the spread of fungal pathogens from one plant to the next. This single habit can save your entire crop if downy mildew or powdery mildew shows up in your patch. Here's the timing detail that most casual growers skip. The time of day you harvest dramatically affects the quality of your cucumbers. Pick in the early morning. As soon as the dew has dried off the vines is the perfect window. The plant has been resting overnight. The cells inside the fruit are at full turgor pressure, which is the internal water pressure that keeps the cucumber firm and crisp. The temperature is cool. The fruit is at its peak quality of the day. As temperatures rise during the day, plant cells lose turgor. The cucumber softens slightly. The flavor concentrates but also gets sharper, sometimes bitter. By afternoon, especially during heat waves, the same cucumber picked at noon versus 7 a.m. is measurably less crisp and noticeably less sweet. This is also why commercial cucumber operations across the United States start harvesting before sunrise. They are not doing it because they enjoy waking up early. They are doing it because the cucumbers picked at 5 a.m. ship better, store better, and command better prices than the same cucumbers picked at 1 p.m. Bonus point: morning picking is also better for the plant. Cool temperatures mean less stress on the cut stems. The plant recovers faster from the harvest. You can harvest more aggressively without setting back the vine. And from a personal standpoint, you avoid the worst heat of the day, which makes the entire experience more pleasant. If morning is genuinely impossible, evening after the heat breaks is the second best option. Avoid midday harvests during peak summer heat. The cucumbers will still be usable, but the quality difference is real and the plant stress is higher. This is the part of cucumber growing that almost no backyard guide covers, but commercial growers use it constantly. Pruning. Cucumber vines, left to their own devices, become tangled jungles by midsummer. Multiple lateral branches grow from every node. Leaves overlap and shade each other. Air circulation drops. Humidity rises inside the canopy. Fungal disease thrives, and the plant spreads its energy thin across dozens of competing growth points instead of concentrating it on fruit production. Strategic pruning reverses all of that. The basic rule is to remove the small lateral shoots that grow at the leaf nodes during the first 12 to 18 inches of vine growth. Leave the main stem intact. Once the plant reaches about 18 inches tall and starts climbing your trellis or support, allow side branches to develop and bear fruit, but remove any damaged, diseased, or shaded leaves throughout the season. The yield difference is documented and substantial. University of Florida research in the mid-1990s demonstrated that intact growing point pruning methods increased yields from 7% to 43% across multiple studies compared to traditional approaches that remove the growing tip. That is a massive range, but even the low end of 7% on a backyard with 5 cucumber plants represents real additional production. The high end of 43% is genuinely transformational. And here is the practical version for backyard growers. You do not need to follow commercial pruning protocols exactly. The single most important rule is this. Remove any leaves that are yellowing, diseased, or completely shaded by other foliage. Remove suckers and side shoots that emerge from the lowest 12 to 18 inches of the main stem. Leave the rest alone. That alone often increases your harvest by 15 to 25% over a totally unpruned plant. Before we close, here are the most common backyard mistakes that I see again and again, all of which are completely preventable. Mistake 1. Waiting too long between checks. We covered this. The 2-day rule is real. If you can only check every 4 days, you are losing yield. Plan accordingly. Mistake 2. Leaving the overgrown fruit on the vine. If you find a baseball-backed cucumber, pick it immediately. Even though it is past its prime, leaving it on the vine continues the production shutdown signal. Pick it. Compost it. Apologize to the plant. Move on. Mistake 3. Inconsistent watering. Cucumbers need steady moisture. Dry then flood then dry cycles produce bitter fruit, weak vines, and stressed plants that drop production. Water deeply 2 to 3 times a week rather than shallowly every day. Drip irrigation or soaker hoses are the gold standard for cucumber beds. Mistake 4. Harvesting in the heat of the day. Drip irrigation or soaker hoses are the gold standard for cucumber beds. Mistake 4. Harvesting in the heat of the day. The cucumbers are still edible, but the quality drop is real. Morning is best. Evening is second. Midday during heat waves is the worst possible option. Mistake 5. Pulling instead of cutting. We covered this. Cut. Do not pull. Use clean tools. Disinfect between plants if disease pressure is high. Mistake 6. No trellis support. Cucumber vines that sprawl on the ground produce less fruit, develop more disease, and create more harvest labor than the same vines trained vertically. A simple trellis from twine, hog wire, or A-frame supports increases yield by 25 to 40% according to multiple research sources, and it makes the daily harvest dramatically easier. Mistake 7. Not pruning. Untrained cucumber vines become tangled, diseased, and unproductive by midsummer. Even basic pruning of yellowing leaves and lower lateral shoots improves your harvest noticeably. The complete formula for doubling your cucumber yield from one vine looks like this. Harvest every 2 days during peak production. Every 3 days as the absolute upper limit. Pick in the early morning whenever possible. Cut with clean shears, never pull. Target small sizes appropriate to your variety. Disinfect tools between plants if disease is present. Train your plants on a trellis or support system. Prune lateral shoots from the lowest 12 to 18 inches and remove any yellow, diseased, or completely shaded foliage. Water deeply and consistently. Never leave overgrown fruit on the vine. That is not a complicated list. None of those items require expensive equipment. None of them require special skills. They require attention and consistency, which is exactly what cucumber plants reward in their producers. The data backs every single one of these practices. The plants tell you every season whether you have applied them. The growers who follow these basics double their yield over the growers who do not. Not because of better seeds, because of better timing. Drop a comment right now. Are you growing cucumbers this season? How often have you been harvesting? Did you know about the 2-day rule before this video? Hit the like button. It takes 2 seconds and helps this video reach more backyard growers before they lose another season to the harvest frequency mistake. Subscribe and stay close.